Francoise Brougher, welcome to the conversation today.
Thank you, John.
It is a real pleasure to have you with me. You're joining us from Northern California, the Bay Area. I'm south of Salt Lake City in Utah. And today we're going to be talking about rethinking the workforce of the future. Man, it's an interesting time, isn't it? When we think about labor economics and we think about work design and we think about, hybrid and remote work and all of these different things, all amidst kind of wide scale skills gaps across many industries and the constant kind of disruption of various technologies, including AI, deep machine learning, um, what we know about work and the workforce of today. Certainly the workforce of 5 years ago versus the workforce for today, and then the workforce, a couple years, 5 years, 10 years from now. It's almost anybody's guess, right, as to what it's going to look like. So we're going to try to unpack this, try to explore this together, try to make some reasonable prognostications around like what, we can best kind of glean from the trends and where things may be going. As we get started, I wanted to share Francoise' bio with everybody. Francoise Brougher is a pioneering technology leader with more than 25 years of experience scaling category defining companies and driving AI first business transformation. She currently serves as the chief executive officer and board member at Pebble, formerly Velocity Global, where she is leading the company's reinvention as an AI first global workforce platform. Under her leadership, Pebble is reshaping the employer of record industry by combining 10 plus years of compliance precision with AI driven simplicity, speed, and transparency, empowering companies to hire and manage talent across 185 plus countries. I could go on. There's so much really neat, cool things about yourself, your background, all the things you've accomplished in your career. But I'm going to pause there. Is there anything you would like me to highlight or that you would like to highlight for the audience before we dive on in?
No, I have been a technologist for about 25 years. I work at defining company like Google, Square, Pinterest. And it's really interesting for me to look at the HR tech. It's a
Yeah.
category that has not been at the top of innovation in terms of software. So I'm super excited to actually join this category and try to change things.
Awesome.
Again,
Yes.
the
Thank you
things
so much. Good.
yeah, the things I care is user experience. So
Hmm.
the heart of Pebble is to try to make it very simple for both employee and talent to work together on a global scale.
Yeah. Excellent. So, I mean, it's such an important space to be playing in right now. And it's super complicated and it's fraught. And so maybe as we get going, let's lay out some of the kind of the meta trends that you're seeing. Like, what are some of um, these large kind of global shifts that are impacting hiring? Sometimes we think about it in terms of global by default hiring, and how are forward-looking companies rethinking what their future workforce will look like?
Yeah, so the most important word to remember is agile. As you
Yeah.
said, things are really shifting, and I do think globalization trends, the genie is out of the bottle. We are not going to stop
Hmm.
it. Companies that want to build, grow, expand need to access talent globally. These days, we have more present topic like wage inflation. So if you think about technology, you saw last week Mark Zuckerberg just published that he will pay any AI engineer over 300K to start joining the company. So that create wage inflation across the board in tech, but also in other area. AI require a lot of operational work. To train this model, it starts by the lowest level, which is labeling to people that train and edit all this model. So we have these businesses that have grown exponentially and really need to reach scale, and therefore we look abroad to hire. If you think about the current US context, it's probably geopolitically less attractive for talent. If I think about myself 30 years ago, when I came to the US, I came because I was attracted to be at the forefront of technology and innovation. You see country right now, I'm European, and I see country really developing policy to incentivize people to stay home, but also attract people from different country to their country. I think Canada is a very good example of a country that hire a lot of people, even so they may be working with US company based here. You have also the UK, for example, now, if they will give you a work visa if you graduate from top institution in the world. So I think the US stopped being the place where we want to be, and talent now try to reside everywhere.
Hmm.
I think we also see interesting trend like in terms of tech hub. We see LATAM, like we see country like Mexico, Chile, Costa Rica being very attractive. And in Europe, we have seen Poland, Finland, Germany, and also Ireland, but Ireland was more a traditional country where people really try to hire at scale.
Yeah, I appreciate that kind of rundown, and you're right. I think the genie's out of the bottle. Now, like from a geopolitical standpoint, there's definitely, some pendulum swing and lots of pushback on the whole globalization movement. But from an organizational firm standpoint, you're not putting that genie back in the bottle. And so it'll be interesting to see how that continues to play out. I also like the focus on these tech hubs. So obviously you're in Palo Alto, you're in Silicon Slopes area or Silicon Valley area, which is known as the premier tech hub. But there are so many other burgeoning hubs around the world, across the United States and other parts of the globe. So, for example, I'm in Utah, Salt Lake City area, Silicon Slopes, which may or may not be a common term that everyone knows, but it's an emerging, pretty powerful tech hub in the United States outside of Silicon Valley. And you have other places, several in Texas. You have lots of places in the U.S. and you have lots of places across the globe, as you mentioned. And so gone are the days where when we're thinking about our workforce planning and talent pipelines, gone are the days where you need to expect for all of that talent to concentrate, say, in the Bay Area, or wherever. And if we can lean into distributed teams and this more virtually connected global workforce, you can tap into great talent all over the place, oftentimes in affordable ways that may be a little bit more challenging, say in the Bay Area, and and yeah, it just becomes very enticing. If so, for example, like Poland and Warsaw, a really strong, growing tech hub in Warsaw, and I've never priced it out myself, but I suspect that labor costs are not as high in Warsaw as they are in the Bay Area.
Correct. They are at least half of what you would
Yeah,
uh, be priced in the valley, half or even a third.
yeah, yeah,
So this is the place where, at subpar 100K, you can get great engineers. So Poland is a great example. And if you think with all this H-1B now, visa fee, it's
yes,
become much harder to come to the US. It was always hard. Let's be
yeah,
facing it. There was always a quota number. Depending on the year, it was between 60K, 200K visa number. But what is interesting is traditionally the large tech have been flooding the system
yeah,
with requests for H-1B. So I think from the get-go, startup understood that if they want to compete, they need to go abroad. But it's not just a startup; it's
yeah,
also manufacturing company, business services that want to actually expand their markets. So it's not just about bringing talent you don't have, it's also about expansion in all this market. So we see a lot of use case of companies that have appetite to go commercially and attack different market, and it's much easier
yeah,
to hire local folks.
yeah, yeah. The H-1B visa issue again is just a great example of kind of the growing complexity around global
Correct.
labor. And we don't know how it's going to play out, right? Because certain things get said and then certain things get walked back and like
Yeah.
it's fluid, right? So
Yeah.
we're continuing to monitor it and we'll see. But certainly there's so much potential with global talent. Now, I'm curious, maybe we could zoom in for just a moment because Meta just announced large-scale layoffs in their AI division.
Mhm.
This is after um, some big headlines around some ridiculous, outrageous signing bonuses and salaries for AI engineers and AI talent to join Meta. Um, and then they just announced a huge layoff of a bunch of the people on that team. Um, I know that's kind of a really like precise kind of use case kind of example of this whole dynamic,
Yeah.
but can you speak to that a little bit? Like, what do you think's going on at a place like Meta or like a place like Amazon that also has announced layoffs? Various firms that are leaning heavily into AI first, and yet, it's I don't know. They're pulling back. And so is this, some say this is an AI bubble. Others are saying, no, no, no. It has less to do with that. It has more to do with like CPU chip access and stuff like that. Like
You know,
what's your take on it?
I'm not at Meta or Amazon, so whatever I'm going to tell you is what I read publicly that
Sure.
everyone has read. I think there is several combining factor. I think, it's hard to absorb so much talent at
Yeah,
once.
that's a good point.
And I think as for COVID, but even after COVID, this company continue to hire at a very large scale. So at some point, you need probably to rethink who is performing, who is not. So I believe there is this happening. I think company like Pebble, we use AI in a very specific manners. So we
Mhm.
don't build AI, but we use AI, and this
Yeah.
is what we call a purpose-built AI. So
Hmm.
companies that have a lot of workflow management processes can train model of this very defined process or workflow to automate them and
Yeah.
activate them. So that's a nice way to talk about agentic AI without being too conceptual. This is really what it means. I
Hmm.
do think this company they are the one inventing the model and they are
Hmm.
trying to go down on agentic AI, but it's harder for them to understand the use case. When you are in a company, you really see how the use case play out, and you are able also to trade between all this model. I see at Pebble, we just don't use one model. We play with a different model to get the outcome we want. So I do think AI reduce the complexity in company, reduce the number what I would call validation. Uh,
Hmm.
in company, people validate a lot of stuff. AI can do a lot of this work, and you can keep a thin layer of validation. You still need human. AI are tools, not human. So I do think it's also probably at some point what is happening with this management delayering at Meta, Amazon, and many other companies.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good point. And the absorption of AI talent is challenging. I was reading one. Um, I'm blanking on his name, but he's out of Harvard Business School, very prominent in the AI thought leadership space, and he was
Karim
talking.
Lakhani? Is
Uh,
it Karim Lakhani?
Perhaps.
Yeah.
And he was talking about some of these same types of issues that you're raising, and I think ultimately, organizations like a Meta, like an Amazon, like these big, huge organizations that are leading the way on the development of these tools, that ultimately, uh, they go on mass hiring sprees, to bring in great people, but the expertise of 2023 or 2024 is not the same as what's needed in 2025 and moving forward into 2026. Like it's going so fast. It's progressing so rapidly. And so it's certainly possible that someone, who was super attractive and maybe Meta stole it from OpenAI, they stole them like 2 years ago. that individual, hasn't stayed as cutting edge as they're looking for, moving forward. And so there's this constant, it just highlights the bigger challenge in the labor force around AI literacy and adoption, being able to clearly, and we're talking, in this example specifically like AI engineers and stuff
Yeah.
that's more specialized, but for just everyday workers, to be able to maintain relevancy, you have to continue to stay on the cutting edge as much as possible.
Yeah.
Leaning into agentic AI, for
Yeah.
example, is so important.
So for company like us that not AI builder, but are
Hmm.
the consumer of AI, it has increased the velocity at which we want to train our people.
Yeah.
So you have to change your mindset as a company that it's no longer about heavy training, heavy certification. It's about agility, providing the tool and providing experiment framework for everyone in the company to try and this tool and then figure out how they can be applied to what we do. So I think what I like about AI, it's bring this experimental mindset that
Yes, me too.
was culturally just in the big tech that now can be in everyone's hands. And I think the companies are going to win. Of course, I believe the big tech will win, but because the consumption of GPU of people, they have a capital advantage that none of the small company have. But the smaller company can also introduce this agility and experimental mindset to all the folks in the company. And that's the companies that are going to survive and are going to thrive under this AI age.
Yeah, that experimental mindset, the rapid iteration of,
Yeah.
ideation that is also aided by AI, but
Mhm.
then like you can try out use cases and you can experiment super rapidly, way faster than was even possible a few years ago,
Yeah. That's
which is
why
incredible.
Yeah, that's why I like hiring abroad, hiring talent abroad, because when you use EOR, for example, it's hard to hire abroad. You need to set up entity.
Yeah.
It can take 6 months. It's going to cost you money to maintain. It's 200K a year. So I think EOR is perfect in this age of AI because AI talent is not just the engineer, it's also the people that labor, it's also people that sell, it's the people that built some of these components. So I think in a world that is accelerating, companies want to test more different markets, different group of talents. They want to adjust. They know, as I mentioned before, they can find talent in Latam, talent in Europe. They don't have exactly the same technical skill set, for example.
Mm,
So I think when you think about managing global talent, this is really where employee of record and company like us really help because the biggest cost in this is time.
mm,
And when you go through a company like this, you can literally hire anyone in days if you want. I always give this example to my team. In 2005, I was asked at Google to open 100 engineering office all over the world. And I think at this time, the founder were very forward thinking because they thought that the talent was everywhere, not the
yeah.
opportunity. And again, remember 2005 is when I started. And we had a year to do this. You know what? The interesting part of it is the bottleneck and the long pole of this process was not to find talent. There is amazing research and university all over the world that are interested in working on top research. It was not the bandwidth, the office, all these logistical things. It was to open a legal entity to be able to pay people locally. Because
Mm,
this is what you all do. And when I joined Pebble, I thought, gosh, I wish this industry existed 20
mm,
years ago
hmm.
because it was created in 2014. And we were so frustrated by the legal entity process. You talk to government regulators, they don't have the same sense of urgency than you. So I told the team all the time, look, remember, I had this problem. I understand how hard it is to be able to scale globally. And I think the company here, there is doing the work of opening and managing all the compliance, all the classification of employee. But there is also the work working very closely with regulators on the ground because it's a new category. So you have to be able to have very good dialogue with these folks that you are able to operate in this country and that is not feel as a way to circumvent
Yeah.
domestic law. And especially nowadays where all countries are a little more tense with what's going on, I think it's really important. This industry as a great place because we do help people expand without to have to worry about anything regulatory, fiscally, and also compensation. We can tell you what you need to pay in this country, which benefit you need to offer
Mm.
in this country. So we actually make all of this complexity goes away.
Mm.
I think as you think about expansion and talent, it's quite important to have this.
Yeah, excellent. And maybe our last question. I know the time. I'm going to have to let you go here in a few minutes, but
No problem.
what do you see as the path forward for HR leaders who are trying to future-proof hiring strategies? So, I mean, so they can be proactive. They're not constantly being reactive to policy shifts, economic pressures, technological disruptions. All that's going to continue to happen. You mentioned being agile. So, like, how do HR leaders future-proof hiring strategies in a more agile way?
So you actually nail it when you say you have to be proactive. I
Mm,
mean, you have to stay informed on what's going on. I think HR is interesting. There's a lot of group of HR people that get together and sharing information of what they use, who they use, where they see it's important. Company like us, we are really happy to provide education to any HR people because generally what happens is the CRO or the CTO show up in the office and, oh, I found this person in Hungary, I really want to hire. And the
mm.
HR person say, where do I start? So getting educated on all this model at a high level, you don't need to be the experts. So I know it's hard because HR people are generally very precise, they care about compliance, they are responsible for people. There is not a lot of margin of maneuver there. So they have to understand who can help them take care of this problem and really they don't have to worry. I think the worry is the speed. We take care of this for them, and getting to know people like us will help them feeling confident that they are choosing the right solution.
Yeah, yeah. That proactivity is just going to be so
Yes.
important. Well, this has just been a fantastic conversation. Again, I know at the time I need to let you go, but before we wrap things up, I wanted to give you a chance to share with the audience how they can connect with you, find out more about your work, your team there at Pebble, and then give us the final word for today.
Yeah, so you can find us. It's very easy. You go on the web. We are www.hellopebble.com and you can learn a lot. We have a lot of education content on our website. You can also try our products for
Hmm.
free. So we are the first one having a full self-serve product. But you can, even before signing up or doing anything, you can understand the difference between country. We have an AI assistant called Alfie. You can have any question about employment in the world. Alfie will answer your question. We make this available for free for everyone. I am on the school of giving a lot of value for free before you start charging people and have them understand what this industry and what hellopebble.com can bring to your organization.
I love it. Thank you so much, Francoise. It's just been
Thank
a real
you.
pleasure having this conversation with you. I appreciate you taking the time to share your insights, your expertise, sharing more about Pebble with me and my audience. I encourage the audience to reach out, to get connected, find out more about what Pebble can do for you. And as always, I hope everyone can stay healthy and safe. They can find meaning and purpose at work each and every day. And I hope you all have a great week.